Sarvasamaranbham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Narayana Samarambham Acharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Naham Karta Hari Karta Tat Puja Karmasagiram Yadyat Karma Karomi Tattvatam Shambho Tavarayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Sivananda, Om Namo Bhagavate Chidananda, Om Namo Bhagavate Krishna. Yadevi Sarvabhuteshu Vishnumaya Sanskita Namastasye, 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 Namo Namaha. Yadevi Sarvabhuteshu Chiti Rupana Sanskita Namastasye, 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 Namo Namaha. Yadevi Sarvabhuteshu Bhakti Rupana Sanskita Namastasye, 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 Namo Namaha. Salutations and revelations at the lotus feet of Gurudev Swami Shivananda Maharaj and Divine Mother. We have been talking about Bhagavad Gita for the last 3 days, and we held, and we have also known, that we say that Bhagavad Gita is the cream or the essence of Upanishad. And Upanishad is called as cream of Vedas. Upanishad is called as the cream of Vedas. So Veda is the most ancient source of knowledge what we have. The entire world recognizes Veda as the ancient most source of knowledge. Now Veda, who created Veda? Did somebody create Veda? No. Then what was Vedas? Vedas were the revelations which occurred to the rishis. The rishis of the yore, ancient times, they were not just content with the happenings around them, with the normal life which they were leading. They thought there has to be something deeper, something more subtle, something more profound than what appears. What appears is fine. It has got some limited reality. But there is something beyond that. There is something beyond apparent. There is something beyond what is temporary, passing phenomena. There has to be something which is constant, which doesn't change. So, even in other normal science also we find that behind the phenomenal world, there is a nomenon, they call it, correct? But there is something static. Just as you have got the electrons, always rotating, in a fixed orbit axis, not randomly. But then there is a static proton, or the neutrons, around that they are moving. Even when we see a film, anything on a screen, the scenes keep on changing, but that particular screen is constant. So they thought there has to be something as the, not support, but as a substratum. Support, the stable is support for this, but not the substratum. But the wood is substratum, the basic content of it. So what the basic content, that they wanted to find out. And then the knowledge occurred to them. And that was in terms of revelations, correct? So rishis are called as mantra drashta. They are called as mantra drashta. They are not the ones who created the mantras. They are the ones who found them in the revelation, that revealed to them, without any means, it's revealed. And then those things have been noted down and they are carried forward by Shruti Parampara from time to time. And Vedas thought, that it may not be possible for a generation to come. They will have feeble intellect, and they may not be able to remember the verses. We are not able to remember Bhagavad Gita, few verses also. So how do you remember the whole Vedas? That was how initially they were learning in the Gurukula. So they composed all the Vedas in form of 4 Vedas. There are so many branches there, more than 1,000 branches. He compiled them into 4, and that is how we know the 4 Vedas. Now the 4 Vedas also have got 2 parts. One is called, first part is normally called as Karma Kanda, that is Mantra Sanhita, Brahman Kanda, and then you have got the Jnana Kanda. So in our life there are 4 Purusharthas. In our life there are 4 Purusharthas. And Vedas help us attain or reach to all these 4 Purusharthas. So everybody knows which are the 4 Purusharthas. They are what? Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. Now what is meant by Artha? When you say Artha, what does it mean? It doesn't mean only money. It doesn't mean only wealth. Any kind of a security that comes to us, whether we call it a life insurance policy or Medicare policy or PPF, whatever, anything which we regard as confers security to us, that is normally called as Artha. And that is the reality of life, and our Shastras have not ignored that. And that is how Lakshmi Puja, Lakshmi also is considered as deity. And during that Navaratri worship also, there is a great deal of significance about the deity. And in that very good book which I was referring to, that Swami Chanji Maharaj, at that time, he has beautifully explained in that Goddess Mother book. We try to see something more about that, what that Lakshmi is. Because India ignored that part in some medieval times, and that is how the West became so powerful. And we have been let down in the past. Now again in the present times, again we are considering all the 4 Purusharthas, and we are considering the importance of Earth or Lakshmi also. In the way, it is not the ultimate end, but it has its own role to play. Correct? So that Artha is one Purushartha. Then Kama. What is the meaning of Kama? Pleasure. Any activity which gives us pleasure, that's referred to as the Kama. So any activity which you do, most activity in your life which you do are confined to these 2 Purusharthas. That is Artha and Kama. That means everybody just keeps working day to night, working here and there, and ultimately create resources, spend, have vacationing. This is the way normally we do. So this is not considered wrong by the Shastras. If you see Bhagavad Gita also, it is stated Dharma Viruddha Kaneshu. So whenever any desire crops up in our hearts, which is not ultra-virus, if you use legal term, or which is not contradictory to Dharma or the righteousness, it is also a manifestation of divine. No other scripture will say like this, Dharma Viruddha Kaneshu. So any desire that crops up, which is consistent with Dharma, which is righteous, which is right, is also called as Ishvara manifesting in us. Yā Devi Sarvabhuti, so all different manifestations we see, Krishna, this, that, Ichha, all kinds of things. So these 2 Purusharthas are there. And one more Purushartha is Artha, Kama and Moksha. And then you have Dharma in between. So Dharma is what? Dharma has got many meanings, as they say, correct? But as a Purushartha, Dharma also means supreme reality. If you understand the deeper meaning of Dharma, Ishvara can also be called as Dharma. Our own characteristics can also be called as Dharma, like that. That what is Dharma of this particular object, what are the properties like that. Dharma in this Purushartha means what? Righteousness, Punya Karma. We do something which is morally, ethically, legally right. So our Shastras are not opposing Artha and Kama Purushartha, but they should be consistent. They should be guided. They should be coordinated with Dharma. If they are opposed to Dharma, then they become a cause of greater bondage and problems. Correct? But if Dharma is there, Artha and Kama are there. So these 3 Purusharthas, so Dharma is a common denominator. Correct? If you want to make a progress in the material world, where we are, we lead our worldly life, secular life, professional life, it all is good. I always believe being a good professional is a good service to society. You cannot expect only politicians or the sannyasins to transform the society. Professions have to play a big part. I just don't want to go into that. It's a very big subject by itself, So professions also play a very important part. But that is in concurrence with Dharma. Right? And then, even if I don't go into the details, but when you talk about the profession, there is one word called altruism. altruism is unselfish concern for the well-being of others. Unselfish concern for the well-being of others. That is called altruism, and that is emanating from dharma. So if dharma is not there, a professional also will not be successful. So dharma is a common denominator between our material or so-called secular life and spiritual life, where moksha is the Purusha. In the still ultimate analysis, if we read our Swamiji's books, they say secular and spiritual are also not very different. That whatever we lead in the secular life can also be lived spiritual. Every moment, every action has to be built in yoga and sadhana. But that's a higher version. For our practical purposes, the way we understand, correct? We lead our outer life, worldly life, and then we will call it secular life. Correct? There, this Artha and Kama Purushartha are playing an important part, guided by. So, where do we get guidance of all this from? Because if these are Purusharthas are good, then they have to be, Shastra have to tell us. So where do you find that? That is in the earlier part of the Vedas, Mantra Samhita, and Brahmana, that is called the Karma Kanda part. That is mainly Karma Kanda part, where there are different worships are there, different ceremonies are there, which we can perform, and we can meet with our desires. We can meet with our hands. So, Karma Kanda part of the Vedas, is also important. It is not to be negated. Right? But then they say that having done that, having lived a good worldly life, enjoying everything also, ultimately, even if you are enjoying, constantly observing, then you always find that there is no permanence in that. We go to some hotel, we go to some spot, we stay for 2-3 days, maybe you get some enjoyment. Even if you stay for 1 number of days, then there will be ceiling to that. So nothing gives us a sense of eternal satisfaction. Always we feel something is wanting, something is missing in us. That sense of unfulfillment, sense of want is always there. Then they say that you have to think beyond. So our Vedas, there's 2 types there. One is this, first is Karma Kanda part, and second is this Vedanta part. So first is Karma Yoga. That gives guidance about Karma Yoga, whatever, how we should do karma. And that is what? That is what Praptasya, Aprapta Prapti, correct? So whatever is not gained, whatever is not there with us, that we want to gain. For that we have got the karma, and that, all that Karma Kanda and the Veda part will be there. And the other part is Praptasya Prapti. The Vedanta is called as the Praptasya Prapti. You know what that Praptasya Prapti means? So when you say that what is already there, what am I to gain in that? What's a aprapta prapti? So what is not there, you work for that. And that is yogakshem also. So most people in their life, they are all busy for yogakshem. Whatever is not there, you want to procure. And having procured, you want to sustain. Even if you want to earn money, it's hard work. And again, preserving money is another big responsibility. So yoga and kshema is our secular life, which we can live as per dharma. And all our karma kanda part of the Veda, that will give us guidance in that. But they say that there is a stage in life where one has to think beyond that. If we lead a good ethical life, based on dharma, if it is not based on dharma, this knowledge will not come. But if we lead worldly life, enjoy all the pleasures, procure all the securities, then always we will feel that something is missing. I am not getting something which is eternal, something which is everlasting. In that case, the man ultimately moves to the 4th Purushartha, that is called as Moksha Purushartha. And what is the Moksha Purushartha? Moksha Purushartha is basically, in a very simple sense, it is a science of emancipation. Science of emancipation. Science of liberation. That we feel free from any kind of wants, any kind of limitations. See, we have all types of limitations, You just say why we are doing that. Why we are facing limitations? Yesterday also we were talking about that Bhagavad Gita discussion. Why are you feeling limitation? Because I as the Atman, because I am not fully aware of my intrinsic true self, I attach myself with what is called as the adjunct or the upadis, which is not myself. So what normally is there? that we connect ourselves with the body. Right? So when you associate with the body, what happens? Limitations will be there. You feel I am tall, I am short, that I am overweight, different kind of limitations will come. And body will keep on changing. Correct? So limitations, you will never be content with your physical state. Always something or the other, you will find some complaint in there about that. And as you know, body is something which changes every second, every moment. Right from the moment we are born, they say, atherosclerosis starts. It is not the old age, it is cholesterol, that what we discussed. Right from the moment we are born, in the arteries, the deposition of plaque, atherosclerosis starts. So body is subject to change continuously. And that, once we identify ourselves with the body, look at the comfort of the body, that is something which will never give satisfaction. Right? Then, once you attach with the mind, what will happen? Always that state of mind, whether disturbed, agitated, this is there. And mind also will have lots of fantasies and imaginations. And we will never be content or we will never be satisfied with our state of mind. And likewise, the intellect also. We always feel ignorant, we always feel half knowledge about many things. So because of our attachment or identification with the body, mind, senses and the intellect, we are not able to experience our true self, the true I, that I am. And the part of this other part, the last part of the Veda, that is called as Vedanta, the end part of the Vedas. Or not only literally the end part, but the end meaning of the Vedas. The end essence of the Veda. That is not only always the end. Sometimes you find Upanishad in the Samhita part also, correct? So that way, the essential part, the innermost part of that Veda is called as the Vedanta, is also called as the Upanishad. And that Upanishad is something which is, if you study that is basically called as science of, that is basically called as what is science of emancipation or liberation. So that self-knowledge is basically Vedanta. But in a limited sense, the textbooks also which talk about the self-knowledge are also referred to as the Upanishad. Upanishad actually means science of self, self-knowledge. The real meaning is that, But in an implied way, the books which reveal that knowledge is also called as Upanishad. Correct? So just as supposing Jammu Tawi Express is there, and we call Jammu Tawi also called. So because it leads to that particular destination, we call the place as Jammu Tawi, like that. So the scriptures which impart the self-knowledge, Atma Gnana, knowledge of the self, they are also called as the Upanishad. Right? So Upanishad you must have learned in your classes also initially, so I don't want to dwell much onto that. But just to give it a quick touch before we go further. In Sanskrit we have got several dhatus, roots. Right? And from that all the words are came, all the words have come. So in Upanishad, what is a dhatu? Sada. Sada is a dhatu. Right? That is the root. And there are two prefixes. One is upa and other is ni. So upa stands for what? Upa stands for nearness, closeness, proximity. Correct. So it talks about something which is very proximal to you, but very close to you. Now what is close to us? If you just analyze, what is close to us? And when you say what is close to us, who we are? That was the question. Right? When I say what is close to us, means who I am. With reference to whom I am saying what is closer. So here we say, we are studying Upanishad, and Upa you say is nearer, and they say what is nearer to me is the content of Upanishad. Now, nearer to me, to whom? That is the question. Right? When I say nearer to me means who am I? So who am I? I am the one who I have believed to be I. I am the one who I have assumed to be I. When I say I means whom, in Hindi we say मैं Hindi में कहेंगे. So when you say I means मैं, तो मैं को जैसा मैंने समझा है, जैसा मैंने जाना है, that is I right now, correct? So this I is not the pure Atman, but this I is the Atman which has got blended Yesterday we were talking, that Anyonyadhyas is there, superimposition is there. So, along with that Atman has assumed itself or identified itself with the sense, body, mind and intellect. That we commonly call as Jiva. That we normally call it as a Jiva. So Atma, if I say, it normally refers to the pure consciousness, pure Satchidananda Swarup, which is seen as Brahman. It is not different. Correct? But that Brahman, which is assumed with the apparatus, PMI, we call it as Atma. So Atman and Brahman, they are not different. They are the same thing. Brahman is all pervading consciousness, and here is the Atma. Correct? Now, what is the exact difference here, Brahman and Atman? We know both the words, correct? But what is the, which Shastra says they are saying? How do we feel different? And Shastra says no, they are not different. The Jiva and Brahma, they are the one in essence. I, the Jivatma, and the Lord, the Paramatma, same. Now they say, what is our perception? Our perception is that Brahman or the Ishvara is all pervading. Is all pervading. Sarvayama. Everybody has a conviction about God when you say that God is all pervading, you have no doubts. Even if you take a leaf, flower, sand, whatever, we have a belief, we have a faith, yes, that Brahman is all pervading, Ishvara is all pervading. That is fine. What is our limitation about Brahman? Our limitation is that Brahman, which is all pervading, is Paroksha. It is not I. You always say Tat Brahman, it is that Brahman, all pervading, pervades everywhere, pervades each and every nook of the space, all atoms, all molecules. But then if all atoms, all molecules are there, how am I not in that? How am I not part of that? That's what we don't realize. So our limitation is Brahma is all pervading. Sarvayapak, Sarvagnya also, Sarvashaktiman also we can call, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient we call. Correct? And it is transcendental, it is beyond this also, that also we know. But for what is the limitation? We think it is Paroksha. We think it is Paroksha. It is not I. When we think of Ishvara, we know Ishvara is everything, does wonderfully, beautifully, but we don't think I am that. That's the problem. So with the word Brahma, all pervasiveness is fine. But we don't think it is I am that. That we never think like that. And we find it hard to believe that. But that is called as a Paroksha. Correct? And when you talk of the Atman, the same Brahman, which is reflecting in this apparatus, body-mind apparatus, we have got this apparatus, Antakarana, it reflects that. And that is what we call as Atma. And Atma, Upanishad is not for proving Atman. Atman, every moment we experience. I. There is never abhava of myself. Never that I don't think I am not there. Nobody thinks. Every moment, everybody is certain about one's existence. So Atman is known to everybody in a limited way, not in a fullest way. But Atman in a limited way is known to everybody. I. And that I is a paroksha. It is not dependent upon anything. It is not dependent upon anything. I feel by myself, without any proof, without any aids. I don't need mind, I don't need intellect, anything for that. I know I exist by itself, self-revealing, correct? So, our concept of Atman is what? Aparoksha. It's basically Aparoksha. It is I myself, intimately I know that it is me, nothing else. But what is limitation? It is not all pervasive. I think I am confined to this body of say 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, 50 kg, 60 kg, 70 kg, whatever we call. I am limited to this. So this is the Maryada, that we identify ourselves with this physical frame, which is a part of the whole Jagat. This body is part of the Jagat. It is part of that Jagat. And the mind which we have is also connected with universal mind. Our mind and your mind are not completely separate. If they are separate, we cannot hear, we cannot grasp what others are doing. So, in that sense, all pervasiveness of mind or intellect is not Mahatattva at all pervading intellect. So we never identify ourselves with that universal existence, cosmic existence. We take ourselves as individual, Vyashti, Samashti is other than me, like that. So this exactly is the point where Upanishads guide us. That what you call as Brahman, what you call as Atman, they are not different. And that is the equation, that is the Mahavakya. And that is the essence of the whole Upanishad. Upanishad is not for proving that the Atman is there, because that is every second of our experience, every moment we experience, But that is there. It is not there for saying that. And at the same time, we never feel that we are a part of that Parabrahman. So to establish the equation, identity between the individual and the universal. The Jiva and the Ishvara. Or Jiva and the Brahma. That is the scope of the entire Upanishad. That is the beauty. Because any other religion, per se, if we say, any other Shastra, even in Hinduism also we say, will never tell you that what you desire, what is supreme goal of life, is you yourself. And Brahmavid Brahmayu Bhavati. Once you know that, you become that. So this is the highest kind of a knowledge which can come to us. You cannot theoretically also think of anything higher than this, You have got great equations, in life. Einstein equation, A is equal to mc square, we say it's not difficult to understand also, very simple, When you say energy and mass, so mass can be converted to energy, that if you burn something, energy will come. But how energy can be converted to mass? It's a difficult thing to understand even for physics people also, right? But those equations are there. But then here Vedanta, talks about the equations which are more profound, which are more subtler. And having known that, nothing else needs to be known. Having known, Chandogya Upanishad says that Swetaketu is told that having known that, nothing else needs to be known, because it talks about Sarvatma Bhava. That when you say that this Jiva is not confined to this psychophysical frame, but it is pervading everywhere. The Atman which is here in X, Y and Z is not different from the Atman which is in me. It is only that Atman identified with different upadhis. This part of the Atman identified with different upadhis, we feel separate, we feel Dvaita. So, it's a very profound subject. The more we think, the more we analyze, slowly and slowly, that feeling will settle in our being. And those Mahavakyas which are there, even if you read the Upanishads entirely, we may not have so much time, but even if you ponder on the meanings of this Mahavakyas, then also a great deal of satisfaction will come to us. In Vedanta they say that getting to the Abheda or state of oneness is very difficult. But even to have feeling, bhava of Abheda, but I want to reach to that Abheda bhava, is also a bliss. It may come to us at some point of time. Let it be there. Right? We have no worry about that. But that Abheda bhava, that Ekam Eva Advityam Brahma, that one Brahman alone pervades each and every nook of the universe, each and every day. The feeling is also giving a great bliss to us. Correct? So, there are, as you know, 4 Vedas are there, as I said, and each Veda, they have given one Mahavakya. Mahavakya is something, what should be called as Mahavakya also? They normally call Mahavakya, right? And they are the greatest message which mankind can never have. I don't think there can be any higher message, any higher equation than this. Even if theoretically you would assume, let's say something higher than this, our mind and intellect will come back. It will not be able to go beyond. So, what is Mahavakya? Mahavakya is any Vakya, any sentence which establishes the identity of Jiva and Ishvara. Not as a Upadhi, right? Not as a Upadhi, but as a content, as the essence. Upadhi is different. If you say Ishvara, Maya Upadhi is there. If you say Jiva, Ajnana Upadhi is there. Maya Upadhi Chaitanya, cannot be Chaitanya. Upadhis are different. But the content, the essence is not different. There are 4 Mahavakyas. One is there in Rig Veda, which is the oldest. And what is Mahavakya? Prajnanam Brahma. Prajnanam Brahma. What does it mean? Prajnanam is consciousness. Prajnanam is consciousness. So, consciousness is one of the Swarupa Lakshana of Brahman. That way, Sat, Chit and Ananda or Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam are also not three different things. If you analyze, they are all interlinked. You cannot have Sat without Chit and Ananda likewise. But still, for the sake of our understanding, the way we are, we can consider like that. So when you say Sat, Chit and Ananda, Chit stands for consciousness. It stands for consciousness. We also have consciousness. But our consciousness is what? Consciousness which is connected to Nama and Rupa. Consciousness is Chaitanya. Consciousness, you can also call it Shakti also. But our consciousness is always connected to some name and form. Always connected to some name and form. We cannot think of a consciousness which is devoid of name and form. It is that consciousness which is devoid of name and form which reflects in all the consciousness. If I give a simple example. Our Atman, our Swarupa is consciousness. Chaitanya Swarupa. Chaitanya is Atman, correct? And body, mind, Chaitanya, they are becoming conscious. So when you say conscious, it is because of consciousness. Correct? So our consciousness is what? We have consciousness. But our consciousness, because it has got mixed with DMI, it becomes physical consciousness. It becomes, we are aware of the body, aware of the movements, functions of the body. That's what physical consciousness. Then you have mental consciousness also. The mind is inert, but because of that Atman, it becomes enlightened. It becomes sentient, as you call it. And the mind is able to think, perceive like that. Again, intellect also is dead, but because of that touchlessness, we look at the base or the root consciousness, which is human consciousness. That is what absolute consciousness is called Nirvishesha Jnana, without any adjectives. We cannot think like that. So that consciousness is Brahman. In very simple words, if you want to understand, any kind of an evidence needs knowledge, and any kind of a knowledge or cognition needs consciousness. If you have no consciousness, no knowledge, no Shakti also, both can be there, but let's still consider knowledge will take place. So this is that Prajnana Brahma, where you will understand that I am the consciousness. Prajnana Brahma is there. Consciousness, Brahma and Atman are not different, so I am consciousness. That is also the entire meaning of the in Mandukya Upanishad. Very briefly, three prakriyas are there. I'll see that, and then again we will come back to that particular point. Second, and this is called as Lakshana Vakya. This is called as Lakshana. The one Mahavakya, it gives the Lakshana means what? Lakshana is characteristic, but one is intrinsic and one is accidental. So what is natural is called intrinsic, and what is assumed is called incidental. So this is intrinsic Lakshana by itself, not incidental. Incidental will come and go, but Chaitanya will never go. So this Prajnana Brahma. Then we talk of the Yajurveda, which talks about Aham Brahmasmi. As we say that we always think I as different from the Brahman. And that is how we are not able to perceive the all pervasiveness. But this is called Anusandhana Vakya. That whenever we are meditating, you always feel Anusandhana means to follow. I follow that Brahman. I am not different from Brahman. I am not different from that feeling constantly will come. That is another Upadesha Vakya, which is called as, it is Yajurveda, and that is called as Aham Brahmasmi. So Rigveda says Prajnana Brahma, which is Swarupa Vakya, then Yajurveda says Aham Brahmasmi, which is Anusandhana. So when you meditate, you always think that I am not what I think I am myself, but I am beyond that. And then comes Samveda, it talks about Tat Tvam Si. That we saw in Bhagavad Gita also, that Tat Pada refers to the second half, 7 to 12 chapter. Tvam Pada means I know myself to be, that Jivatma Pada. That is the first 6 chapter, and Asi is, they are not different, they are one. So that Tattvamasi is Upadesha Vakya. This is basically Upadesha Vakya. So that his father, Guru, right, talks Vedika, he studied everything, he came back, he thought I learned everything. And when he asked father that you know something, have you known that? Everything else can be known. He said, no, I have not studied that. And again he studied. The Upadesha Vakya. Guru will tell us that this is what. And then once Guru tells us, that Anusandhana will happen. Correct? And finally, Atharva Veda. Atharva Veda is what? I am Atma Brahma. So first message is given, and then Anusandhana is there, and now realization is there. I am Atma Brahma. So initially it was told that you are this, you are not anything else. And then there is the prakriya, correct? So whatever is not there, you negate. And finally what will remain is that you are. That is called I am Atma Brahma. That I am this Brahman, nothing else. Whatever else I think has to be negated. Has to be apavada. When you say Dhyara Apavada, has to be negated. And that is how the whole thing is there. Correct? Now, this is the entire essence of Upanishad. And this is like a Mahasagara, and very difficult to be able to reach them. I don't think I am a very competent person on the whole Upanishad. I have not studied all of them thoroughly. I just studied the essence part of it, and whatever little I have followed, I will try to tell you. Now, he is one of the very renowned scholar in the field of Vedanta, Swami Jayant Saraswati. He also is a very profound teacher of Vedanta. And he explains to us three simple prakriyas. He says that Brahman and this Jiva, when you want to say that they are not different, they are one. Apparently our experience is not that. Our experience is different. And that is why, because of our connection with the body mind, we are bound. And we need liberation, that's what we say. So he says that if this particular message, Mahavakya, is having told, intimately experienced by us, then all the bondages, all the limitations will be quelled. Because bondages or limitations are assumed, they are not real. Just as a cow is there, you tie with a string and go away. Other day you do the same thing without doing, the cow will think that I am bound like that. And then when that particular cow with imaginary bond is there, it will not move. But if you want to let that cow move, what do you have to do? Again you have to go and artificially, as if you are untying the rope, and then that cow will think I am free and moves. The cow was not bound, but still it felt that I am bound, because previous day somebody tied the rope. So likewise, we have assumed our notions, our belief, that is what has bound us. And once we understand this Mahavakya, those bondages will be quelled, dispelled. And then the Swarup of the Atman, which is Satchit Anand, all Satchit Anand, will reveal by itself. Atman, for knowing the Atman or revealing the Atman, nothing has to be done other than removing what is obstacle. And obstacle is the Ajnana, and because of the Ajnana, we have got different effects of it. Now, he explains that there are three ways in which Shastras do it. He says that, that once you have got the desire, that I want to attain this liberation, that man will take this Samhita and go to that Guru, Brahmanishta, that is in this Mundaka Upanishad is saying like that you have to go. That all part we discuss. Now what exactly Guru does? He says that three prakriyas. Correct. That is how that the nature of the Atman as Brahman will be understood. And that is why he says that Vedanta normally understand Uttar Mimamsa as one of the six philosophies, Astik Darshan. But he goes beyond that, and he says that it cannot be taken as a school of philosophy. Because there are limitations if you do that. He says it is not in the school of philosophy, but you can take it as a school of thought, which is independent of Pramana. By itself, it tells us, that what to do. And there are three prakriyas. The first is Karan Karya Prakriya. So, very simple. Everybody knows about this, right? So, what is Karya Prakriya? What is Karana? And what is Karya? So, Karana is something which is the cause. And Karya is something which is the effect. So, in a very simple way, anything in life, if you say the effect is there, if you probe into that, you find out the cause. If you see that, for example, plant, if you consider, then you can see fruit. The fruit is the effect. So what was the cause? Flower. Correct? And again, if you go to flower, like you go deeper and deeper, and ultimately you reach to some particular cause. So any effect is there, any karya is there, there has to be some karya is there. So ultimately, go on probing, till you find the ultimate cause. or the causeless cause. Ultimate cause or the causeless cause. That is Brahma. That is Brahma. That is Satya. Brahma, that is Satya. So ultimately, that is called Brahma, that is called Satya. Now Satya has got, in Chandogya Upanishad, Brahman is called as Sata, in some it is called as Akrita, like that, not created. But Sata is what? Which exists in all times, past, present and future. Even beyond that also. Because time is also a function of Srishti. So beyond time also, but say let us put it that way, that it is eternal. Beyond the time. That is Sat. And then comes the creation of the time. So in the Upanishads, the entire creation is explained, correct? And how the creation is there? Yesterday we were talking, there are 5 base elements, which are 5 gross and 5 subtle elements. So we have got the Sukshma Jagata and we have got the Sthula Jagata. That is subtle and the gross. Now, our body, our senses, our mind, our intellect is a part of Jagat. When I say I, Jeev and Jagata, and Jeev is not this. What is this? Jagata. And this is in Bhagavad Gita called as a Kshetra. It's called as a Kshetra. So, the world which is comprising of the 5 basic elements, gross and the subtle. That is the Karya. That is the Karya. So, Karya has come from Karana. Effect has come from cause. So, is effect or is Karya different from the cause or not? Suppose you see that the child is born, the characteristics of the parents in many ways are inherited. Correct? So, can Karya, this Jagat, be different from Karana? No. And that is how this Jagat is also called Vishwarupa. Correct? And because of the Brahman it has come, so it is called as the material cause or the Upadana Karana. Material from which it has come, material cause as well as the Upadana Karana we call, so this Jagat has come. So it has come from that. But will you call it Sat? It has come from Brahman, it is not different from that. Correct? Karana is not different from, Karya is not different from Karya. The Jagat is not different from Brahman or the Atman what you call. So that is Sat. Now can we call Jagat as a Sat? No. What is it then? What do we call it? We call it Mithya. Now what is Mithya? Mithya is a very difficult word to understand. Mithya does not mean Tuchya. Just a minute. Brahman is not either Sat or Tuchya. Sat means it exists in all times. So any Jagat constantly keeps on changing. It will not be Sat. And it is not Tuchya. Tuchya means which is non-existent. Tuchya means it is non-existent. So Jagat is there, experience. We feel, how can we say this totally not there? So it's a matter of experience also. So it is not Tuchya, it is not Sat. So what is not Sat means eternal truth, and what is not Tuchya means non-existent is called as Mithya. Is called as Mithya. So the Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya when we call. So Brahma Satyam is which abides in all time exists, is called as Satyam. And Jagat Mithya means it has got temporary existence or it has got dependent existence. It has got dependent existence. It depends upon that is Brahman for its existence. Otherwise, it cannot exist. Correct? So that way to understand that Jagat is not different from Brahman. Jagat is not different from Brahman. But Brahman is independent of Jagat. This is the entire essence here. Correct? That whatever Jagat has come, all world is there, it has come from Brahman. So it is not different from that. But Brahman is independent. Jagat depends upon Brahman for its existence, but Brahman doesn't depend upon Jagat for its existence. Jagat cannot exist by itself, but Brahman can exist by itself. So this is the way we need to understand Karya Prakriya. And not only this, that Brahman and Jagat are same, not different. Jagat is not different from Brahman, but at the same time they say that Brahman is you, Brahman is I. This is the Karya Prakriya, wherein we understand that Jagata is not different from Brahman, and that Brahman is I. That Brahman is I. Means Jagata is not different from me. Jagat is not different from me. I And I mean Brahman is all pervading, Atman of everything. That is called Sarvatma Bhava. That is called Sarvatma Bhava. Wholeness, nothing is in part. So Sarvatma Bhava is one of the most enchanting, most satisfying words I learned from this Vedanta. That the one who is not the Atman of this body, but Atman of all that is living, non-living, animate, non-animate, that is Brahman and that is I. So this is called Karya Karana Prakriya. There are two more Prakriyas, maybe it will take some more time. So tomorrow we also will talk something about Divine Mother. And let's complete this what I have opened up today, right? The Avasthatara Prakriya is there and Panchakosha Viveka is there. So all the Upanishads, they will take either of these three Prakriyas to make us understand the nature of the Brahman is not different from I. It is very technical subject, but whatever little I have understood, I try to put you as much simplified as I could. We'll carry it tomorrow. But the mother's grace will be able to conclude this. Hari Om.